I'm Fernando Prieto, and I am partner and general manager of Gato Studio, an indie company from Spain.
And today we are talking about the Waylanders, which is approaching its, if this is correct, its version 1.0 release date.
Yeah, that's correct.
This game has had quite the journey. It started out as a Kickstarter all the way back in 2018, and you hit your goal. You started on stretch goals, you launched into early access, and now you finally arrived at this we're nearly at that 1.0 finish line. How does it feel to have made it this far?
It's been hard to get to here. I admit that, because it's been a long road with a pandemic in the middle, a lot of problems with that, but here we are finally. So we are happy to be able to show everyone the 1.0 version of the game. We will keep working on it, obviously, but this is finally the version we wanted to share with everybody.
To give people an idea of what the Waylanders is, this is a party-based RPG with a focus on Celtic myth and historical legend. And I want to ask right out of the gate, why Celtic?
Because we live in the northwest of Spain, in a region called Galicia, and we have Celtic origin. So that's the reason. We thought years ago, 2016, that there were a lot of medieval lore and games on the market, or Nordic games, for example, with Nordic lore, but there wasn't a lot of Celtic games. So we thought our history and our heritage, and we thought we could do something really enjoyable for the people with that. So we took a book that is not really a Galician book or a Spanish book, which is the Book of the Invasions, the Lebor Cavalaren, which is an Irish book from the 12th century, I think. And there, in that book, is told the story of the Celtic people from our region, from the northwest of Spain, that invaded Ireland like 6 centuries before Christ. So we thought we could use that to build an epic story and build a game we wanted to use all that lore and all that myths and legends to build something fresh and new that not many people knew. So I think to change, especially from something more typical in the market, from medieval times that you're more accustomed to see, or medieval in the United Kingdom, or the Vikings, for example. And we wanted to use something different and try to do something. There is a lot of distance, for example, with CD Projekt, but it is something similar with the Witcher in the original Witcher. So because they used the original lore and the original myths and legends to build that game based on the books of Andrzej Sapkowski.
And this RPG is said to have been inspired by classics such as Dragon Age Origins, Neverwinter Nights, and Baldur's Gate. And I want to ask, how did you work to not only sort of mix those inspirations together, but also set the Waylanders apart from those things that came before?
We loved those games, so we wanted to create a game with not with turn-based, but real-time combat. And we love Dragon Age, and we thought that probably there are not much games on the market that follow the steps of the Dragon Age or the Baldur's Gate, the original ones with real-time combat. So we wanted to do that with a faster combat, probably, that we are using in our game. And obviously we are not developing a Dragon Age game. It's not that. But we are trying to get inspired by the use of cameras, the use of the cinematics inside the game, and the style of the combat with some innovations like the formations. But I think that everybody, when they play Waylanders, they feel the inspiration, even though the game is completely different, of course.
And with quite a few years in this project, it's been, as we mentioned before, it's been quite a road here. Was there anything along the way that you feel the team sort of learned that it sort of felt like you had to either brush a slate clean or move in a different direction on the way to this version 1.0?
Yeah, it's been a long road. I mean, the origin of this game, we were a smaller company in that moment in 2016. We were 8 people in the company. And then we realized that to be sustainable in the market, to survive in the market, we had to grow because the money was in bigger games. And with the games below $25 to $20, there is a huge amount of games trying to get visibility and sales for the game. So we wanted to grow, and we took this idea that we had from before the Waylanders idea. And our first problems was how do we hire people in our region in Galicia? We don't have a lot of ecosystem of video gaming companies. So the first thing that we did, we convinced the administration to offer courses for video gaming, for formation in video games. So we train our own people, all from local colleges, and in fact 24 of them were unemployed before the Waylanders began, before the production began, because there was a lot of unemployment in our region. So I mean, there was a long road. They began to work in the game, and most of them were junior, so they learned the profession and they learned to develop video games in this path, in this way. It was obviously we did a lot of things wrong, and because it's impossible to if it is your first game of this size. So, but one of the decisions that we wanted to, the first decision that we chose was to be very close to the people, very close to the market. So that's the reason that we presented the game for the first time in 2018 on the Gamescom in Cologne. And after that, we did the Kickstarter campaign because we wanted to, I mean, the money in a Kickstarter campaign is not the most important thing. The most important thing is how you get a connection with the community and you build the community around you when you are developing the game. Because from the money point of view, it might be 5% of the total budget or 10% of the total budget. It's not the money. There are a lot of things that help you in the Kickstarter. So we kept with the early access, it was the same. I mean, we wanted to launch the early access to build a game close to the people and learning a lot from the comments, from the interaction with them, and answering all the comments that we have in the Steam page and the Kickstarter page. I mean, I think it was a huge effort sometimes, but I think it was really worth because we changed lots of things inside the game. Probably not some things that there are some points in the production that you cannot change. Obviously, lots of things, or sometimes design or the whole. But I think we changed little things, help with the help of the people and those comments, and that began like in 2018 when we took our game to the Gamescom. We showed the demo there. Since that moment and until now, we have tried to understand what the people want about the game.
And with that Kickstarter origin, you sort of have like you have your investors, you have those who buy into the game, those who, and then of course the stretch goals that you laid out. Do you feel like that meeting the expectations of those who paid in, or the stretch goals, do you feel like that's been a challenge, or do you feel like that's been sort of a North Star guiding line to the development of this game so far?
I mean, to me, the expectations of everyone is quite difficult, especially in a cultural project. I mean, some people likes the turn-based mode, some people like the real time, some people. There are some comments, for example, about the dialogues that people feels that it's like we are not using sometimes the right tone in the dialogues, for example. I mean, you cannot match or satisfy everyone, but I think that the game that we have developed, I think it's above the expectations, or the sorry, my English, above the
expectations.
The expectations, sorry. It's above the expectations that we have that we had in 2018 when the Kickstarter game and the game that you all can watch now and on Steam are completely different. And I think we improved the game a lot of what we promised in that moment.
And one of the unique aspects of this game is that not only do you have one particular world to explore, but you have sort of that same world and across two different eras to explore. And not only that, but you have companions with decisions that you make along the way. Has it been can you talk about the process of like building consistency between creating two eras of the same world?
Yeah, it's been quite crazy sometimes. Especially because the companions that you have in the Celtic era and the companions that you have in the medieval era are the same companions, but as the Celtic people believed in reincarnation, you have to wake their memories up when you arrive in medieval time, and they are reincarnated in new people, and they are not exactly like they were before. So the genre can change, the kind of sometimes you fighter and now you're not a fighter anymore. So yeah, it was quite challenging, but I think the people will love that confrontation between both eras. I mean, we tried to even give both eras a different color palette to differentiate the style in both eras. Like the Celtic era is more colorful, more close to nature, the druidic magic and all that. And in the medieval times, the humankind has taken over the nature. There is kind of confrontation, this discussion that we have today, even nowadays now. And we wanted to confront that and change the color palette more, using more browns and gray in medieval time, more close to the color of the rocks and all the stuff. And I think it works for me at least, and I think for many people that we have shown that change between eras, I think is working very well.
And for as long as this game has been in development, and especially within these last couple of years, it's kind of been, there have been kind of an explosion of a lot of great releases, and especially within the RPG genre. Have there been, we talked about how the original inspirations were Dragon Age Origins, Neverwinter Nights, and Baldur's Gate, but have there been any releases since this game began development that the team saw that like, wow, that's a cool feature, we should figure out how to do something like that in this game?
Well, I mean, we are following a lot of games, and some of, especially indie games in our league, like Solasta, for example, which is a cool game, or the new Path of Pathfinder as well. And I mean, we always try to play all the indie games out in the market. Obviously, we love Baldur's Gate 3 as well, but Baldur's Gate 3 is in another league. They have like 30 times our budget, so it's not comparable. We cannot do some things that they do because we don't have the budget to do that. But obviously we take a closer look to all the indie games, and I mean, I like how they manage Solasta, for example. Some of the things they do with the gameplay, I think it's very solid. And maybe there are some things in their gameplay that I would like to import to our gameplay sometimes, but well, probably they could say the same with our cinematics. I think our cinematics are quite good, our animations, and so, well, I would like to say, but maybe as an indie game we cannot aspire to do everything perfect as a big budget game, no? So, but it's a question more of equilibrium, or like a balance. And well, I would like to say that our game is balanced, and I mean, from the creative side and the gameplay and the story, I think that's the most difficult part for an indie company to get in a game, to get that balance.
At this point, like what would you say that would be the enticing point of the Waylanders versus just like catering to the players that have been along for the ride since the beginning?
Well, I think we have improved the game a lot, especially because the early access launch in 2020 was really, was rough. We have to admit that. I mean, it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and that affected us a lot at the end of the early access launch, because we had to put everyone on their homes, and they were confined for like 6 weeks completely in Spain. They couldn't go out to the street, and it was really a hard time for them. Psychological problems, with lots of problems. So that affected us a lot. The game was rougher than we expected, but from the very beginning, we began to update the game almost weekly, and the improvement, especially in the first 6 months, was huge. I think the people that took the game in that moment and said, "Hey, I don't want to touch this until it's really completed," because I understand that if you like the story, if you want to enjoy the story, and the story, follow it as it should, as you should. I mean, I understand that, and we have a lot of comments and a lot of messages in the last few weeks that are telling me, "Hey, this is incredible. I mean, you did a wonderful job. I mean, what a huge change from the game I played a year ago." we improved the scenarios from the artistic point of view. We improved the gameplay. We added more content, more missions. So I think the people that played the game 18 months ago should really know that improvement in the game. I think the game is denser. I mean, it has a lot more content, is more deep, and is as tactic as always, but now it has a deeper lore, and you have to understand more the game to enjoy it.
As you approach your version 1.0 launch of the Waylanders coming out of early access, where can those who are interested in that game find out more? Where can they be sure to stay on top of things when it launches and be ready for it?
Well, you can find more info, especially on our social media. I mean, in our Discord, Twitter, Facebook, and also on the Steam page, because as I told you, we try to answer everything about the game, and we will post in the news about the game or the improvements that we will apply in the future. So I think especially Steam, Twitter, Discord, and Facebook, you will be able to find everything about the game. Obviously, our website, maybe we should update it more frequently. But for example, Fextra Live has a very good wiki, better than our website probably. And but yeah, our social media and the Steam page, I think, are the best places to follow with the game.